keep doing it for the thrill. Well, this is reality, you only live it once, so wake up from your dream. But just for tonight, let the lines get blurred, let your thoughts be free, let your thoughts be free.
Save it for the live stream, Jace. Save it for the live stream. He says, hello, everybody. Good evening. I don't know if you can see us or hear us or anything like that because everything's gone wrong tonight. Just like the FPL team. I've lost the will to play the game. I said to Steve-O, tonight, I'm just going to take the back seat and have a little doze in my chair while these two brilliant FPL managers talk about their teams and how well they're doing. And I just want to say a massive welcome to Nick on the show. Nick, the half of FPL Juice that we had at Ash last week. We've now got the better half with Nick. Only kidding. You can't. It's like kids. You can't favour one over the other. Hello, Nick. Hello, mate. Hang on a second. Why can't I hear Nick? What's going on?
Yeah, I can't hear Nick.
Nick, unmute yourself, Nick. Not again, Nick. Not again. Literally, this was working a minute ago.
What you did a minute ago to make me not echo, Jace, just reverse it, because clearly something's happened there.
What do you mean? I just turned my speakers down on my computer. Nick, have you got any other browsers then? just refresh your browser. Just do Control and F5. Control and F5, and let's see if that fixes things.
Where's James when we need him?
I don't. I literally have no. Do you know what? Do you know? I just think that YouTube's punishing us. That's what it is. We're not allowed guests on this show because every time we do, there always seems to be a problem, and it always falls on me because I'm the one that does the tech. I mean, but then, do you know how bad it is? I was actually messaging Steve-O at 7:30 going, Steve-O, we need to get on earlier, mate. We need to get on early and do the testing at 7:30.
They've literally just come through now, Jace, as you're speaking.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's amazing. That's great news. That's great news. Nick, are you there?
Oh, I can hear him.
I can just speak again.
Yeah.
He's very...
You're very quiet, Nick. You're very, very quiet.
Again,
it's like I'm hearing, it's like he's on the Hubble Space Telescope.
If anybody even bothers listening to my side project regarding the Extras Series 2 podcast, this is literally a sketch from it. You couldn't make it up, but it doesn't involve Nick, it involves FPL Plonker, but still.
We're such professionals at this, honestly. And I mean, I haven't got the chat loaded up yet on the screen, and that's how good it is. Nick, I can just hear about you. I don't think the chat can hear you, but I can hear buzzing and your voice. I can hear it.
Do you want to put yourself on mute, Jace, and put Nick on mute, and I'll go through the chat while you're sorting things out?
I can have wishy thinking, and maybe that might help him. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose I could. Give me one moment. Oh, Nick, you there? Nick, come on, you're playing games with us now, aren't you?
Dial in on your phone. This is just embarrassing. We got Roberto here saying this is very, very quiet. We don't want to be talking about things that are, shall we say, slagging our own channel off.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd rate this a 6 out of 10 at the moment. It's got potential.
In fact, Yelena I think I was slugging you off in the latest Extras podcast. Yeah, I probably was, yeah.
I tell you what, if we get 100 likes, Nick will be able to talk.
FPO Glasgow saying more techno problems than Black Box. Don't worry, I'll be slagging them off in a minute.
Maybe Nick's getting DDoS attacked by I don't know, by Z Russians. You know, I literally do not know what the problem is. He's using Google Chrome, so there shouldn't be any issue with Google Chrome, as far as I'm aware. So, more tech problems than Carphone Warehouse. Is Carphone Warehouse even a thing anymore? I don't even know if it is a thing anymore. But yeah, Nick, plan B would be, mate, if you have got our Discord, just jump on Discord and just chat via voice and leave your webcam going, mate. I mean, that's a plan B. That's what I would probably do at this point, and just use your Discord. But again, you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your computer, whatever. But it wouldn't be Elite FPL if it weren't problems. You read the comments, but I think Nick's on the phone to some customer service representative at the moment. So if you want to read the chat, go for it, Steve-O.
Unless he's trying to ring me, but that'd be lucky because I haven't got my Wi-Fi turned on.
Should we all just do a conference call?
We'll do a conference.
Hello, Nick. Yeah. What are we doing with your team this week? All right. Yeah. Okay.
Glenn Whiting saying,
bringing in Jamie Vardy. Okay. Yeah.
Hold on a minute. No. That ain't it.
What's the opposite of elite? Says John Harris. Birmingham.
Glenn Whitting, what do I search for your podcast, Steve-O? Total Steve-O.
Or Deathcore Dashcam.
No. That's nothing to do with it. No, Jace. It's just Total Steve-O. Slagging everybody off. Kicker saying, Steve-O, you following the Burnley game? Yeah, I turned it off. It was that shit. Awful. Absolutely diabolical.
Are they still in the Football League, Steve-O?
Terrible match there. Really did not enjoy that first half at all. Very boring. Seemed like a friendly that neither team wanted to be.
I've seen a few things about Elite FPL match of the day challenge.
On what?
Did you say that you're gonna do a match of the day challenge to anyone, Steve-O?
No, I said the opposite. I said it will never happen in a million years because I have no time for it and I keep up to date with the football no matter what, unless I'm going on a trip all day.
Well, I'm not going to keep up to date with football on Saturday, so I can do a match of the day challenge and then reveal the truth on Saturday evening, and you'll know the scores. I won't.
Well, you said you'd be joining me on Saturday, so if that's possible, then potentially that could be a really, really good idea. Without you knowing any of the results whatsoever, that would be incredible.
I won't know the results, and I'll be really happy and excited, and then get blown apart live on air, probably.
I'm going to message Nick deliberately and see what he has to say. I'm just going to say Discord.
His webcam looks beautiful. It's just that we can't hear him.
Look at his background.
He's made an effort. Like he's got whiskey bottles there.
Okay.
It's that HD. I can actually read the label and the sell-by date.
The James, the producer's trying to help him on this. Well, while we're doing that, in all seriousness, shall we crack on with chatting about the last game week that's just gone?
Cheers, Matt.
And just quickly go through, because I generally do want to talk to you about FPL and what's actually going on regarding yourself, and more specifically the fact that your team, to be frank, is actually very good. Let's not mess about here. It's a perfectly fine team.
Are we being trolled at the moment? The team is very good. Steve-O, I'm 2.8 millionth in the world.
But you're only 20 points behind me.
Shall I clickbait that? 2.8 millionth in the world giving FPL advice to.
Hold on a minute. We're not giving advice. We're just.
No.
Two mates chatting to one another.
Yeah. not giving advice, just giving our opinions. I don't think it's gone very well so far this season, and to be honest, I'm hearing some scratching noises. I think it's your microphone.
James has joined us.
I think it's a microphone issue. James is there.
Oh, can you hear James, Jace?
James, hello?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear him. Hello, James. Hang on.
Well, hold on a minute here. You're throwing him under the bus. Ash was having the same problems. You gotta be fair.
Hang on a minute.
This is, again, if you want to search for my Total Stever podcasts with my latest extra series, taking the piss out of every single member of the FPL community, including FPL Juice, please, because I've done 1,000 sketches of this, and I can't believe this is actually happening. Please, James, continue.
Maybe this platform just isn't cut up for doing multi. Maybe we've just not realised.
Yeah, I can see you, James. So can Jason.
Can you hear him?
Yeah, hear you loud and clear.
I can't hear him.
You can't hear him.
No. Hang on a minute. Let me just add him into the call. Oh, this is embarrassing, but funny at the same time. It's all right. It's not like we're live and we've got people watching us. Hang on a moment. James is the tech guy.
He's the producer. Is his job. I'd like to think he's the tech guy.
So in all seriousness, we should be saved now, right?
We would if he was in Nick's house, or if he was in your little studio, Jace. We would be saved. Unfortunately not. We've actually got some kind words, Jace. A gentleman called Matt E. Orarib saying, found your channel mid-season last season. Christ, I'm surprised you're not. I'm going to go on to that. And I've been watching regularly ever since. Keeping up from Canada. Thank you for the support. Really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate it.
It's very kind of you, and we will aim to iron this out. I mean, ultimately, we might have to go onto Skype if things don't change in the next few moments. I mean, nod your head yes or no if you got Skype, Nick.
I can hear his mic.
I can hear crackles when he talks. It sounds like his mic's like crackling. Has he got
chat? Can you hear crackling?
I can hear crackling when he tries to speak.
Well, there's other good news as well. I think.
And I'm seeing a bar. I'm seeing an audio bar coming up on his thing when he tries to speak.
I'll tell you what.
Oh, hang on. Keep talk.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
Is that working?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I think what have you done? What did you do?
Nothing. I promise you nothing. I've not.
What did you do?
I think it's the jack.
I moved the laptop slightly, so maybe.
I think it's the jack.
You moved the laptop. That's what it needed. Needed to be 3 more degrees north. Uh-oh. No, his webcam's
slightly. I'm scared to move at all now.
Just move the laptop back where it was a moment ago, right? Just keep it there and do not move it.
There?
It's fine. Yeah, it's good.
It's good. It's good, Nick.
Clear.
Yeah, it's good, mate. We can actually hear you, and we can all hear you perfectly. Can you hear us, Nick? Oh my God!
Right, we're going to edit all that bit out.
Right, we'll start the stream again, shall we? Only 48 minutes late. It's all right.
Nick, first question for you. Back in 1990.
It's okay now. I'll keep that.
Oh my goodness, literally like Booker T. Oh my God. Jace, can you hear me?
No, what? I can't hear you. Stevo, I can't hear you. No, I'm just seeing Nick and hearing him, but now he's slowed down a little.
Seems fine on my end.
Nick, you there? Nick? Hello?
Yep, I heard him, yeah. I heard the word yes.
Nick? Oh, I'm hearing static noises. I'm hearing...
People are saying it could be the headphones, the actual headset.
I think it's headphones, personally.
I think it's the headset.
My money's on headset. I think you should just unplug the headset. And if you've got an internal mic, use the internal mic on your laptop.
There will be an internal mic. There will be.
Like, disconnect your headphones and use the internal mic on your laptop instead.
Oh.
Oh.
And then we'll be able to put your normal headphones in the jack. Should be able to hear us.
Yep.
And we can crack on with the show. And
Yeah. Nick's actually joining us from Siberia, where he's got patchy internet connections right at that moment.
He was streaming from Spain the other day. This is how mental.
Oh, I think he's catching up a little bit here.
Yes.
He's actually He's actually answering my questions from like 3 minutes ago. He's like, yeah. Nick, can you hear me? Oh my god. Weather's been pretty crap today, isn't it, Steve?
No. It's been beautiful down
here. It's been raining where I have been. Dan says, what a mess.
If you are brand new around here and you enjoy the content, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It really helps.
It's on mute.
This is so funny.
We can hear you, Nick.
I can hear you, Nick. Can hear you, mate.
Just trying to...
You need to plug. You need. We can't see you, Nick. You see that blue line?
Right.
It's all good in the hood, Nick. We can see you now, mate. We can hear something.
Okay.
Right.
Hello.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay.
You're echoing a little bit now.
There's nothing. I haven't got a microphone anymore.
I've never sweated so much in my life. This is the greatest fat burning.
This is that. No, right, Nick. We can see you and we can hear you. Welcome to the show, mate.
He's now picked his laptop up to throw
Sounds
it.
like you're in a submarine made out of tin, but
there's no chat. Yeah, grab my earphones. Sorry, I'm just going to try with AirPods. One last attempt.
AirPods. Okay. Let's take this connection wireless.
Doesn't that mess up the thing though? Because it messes up on Discord, Jace.
Mate, I don't know. I'm at this point. I'm just an innocent spectator. No, I'm not. I'm just here to make up numbers, mate. I am. I'm just here to make up numbers. Let's read some of the. Read some of the nice comments we've got in the chat.
Nice
few days later from Clickers. If Monty Python did FPL content, says David Hamill. Thank you, David.
Never heard of it.
Monty Python, one of the best.
Do you know, it's funny you mentioned that, Jace, because that day when you were talking about Monty Python, I thought, it's on Netflix. I'll give it a go. I could barely last 10 minutes. I was just like, what is this?
Monty Python is brilliant, man. I don't know what you're on about. Okay.
Is there a team up on screen, Jace?
It's the light. It's the light. See, I've got lights under the desk. They just anyway. Is my team up on screen? Yes, it is. Yeah.
It is up on screen. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to legitimately go through your team and tell me what you're seriously thinking of doing with your 2 free transfers, if anything?
I'm not doing anything.
You're not doing anything at all?
No. Not at the moment.
So you're not... I mean,
You
I know
get 3
Barker...
transfers. You can say you get another one, can't you?
Yeah. I'm not disputing the fact that we can't get onto the game week 4 with 3 free transfers, but you've got problems with this team. Maybe not for game week 3.
No, not for game week 3.
But there's a potential problem now with Lewis Hall. He started tonight. Now there's a few other Newcastle first teamers that have started tonight, but Lewis Hall didn't start at the weekend. But I think that was mainly for sentimental reasons for Lewis, whatever his face is, Kelly to play against Bournemouth. You've got Fernandez, who's performing very, very well, but he's now dropped down in price. You've got Eze, who's performing very, very well, but he's dropping down in price. You've then got this Barco, who's a problem because he's never going to play for Brighton. But on paper, your team's fine, Jace. What do you think, in all seriousness, what do you think has just gone wrong for you so far?
Just been unlucky, really.
Yes.
I mean, Bruno Fernandes could have got some more points easily. Eze has been rattling the woodwork and has been looking really lively. I mean, yeah, the team's fine. I mean, ironically, getting points from Gibbs White, who is the budget player in the team, and the player that I wasn't the most excited about going into game week 2. Obviously, getting 68 points, pretty disappointing when considering 34 of those and half of the points were from HAALAND. So probably should have triple captained HAALAND. It would have softened the blow, so to speak. But anyway, well done to those who did. Ash being one of them. But also, I just, I look at Newcastle. I'm not absolutely blown away by them at the moment, but I'm still going to hold them and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm not enamoured by them either. They have got one more game for me against Tottenham. I know it's a tough fixture. I don't think it is for Newcastle. But I think that Newcastle, they probably will win. I think mainly because of the fact that Spurs
I'm hearing something.
aren't particularly great away from home, and the fact that, I'll be honest, they haven't actually looked that great from an attacking perspective.
Well, again, with 3 transfers going next week, I'm just going to roll it, and with 3 transfers, it's kind of given me the option to do 3, if not 4, on a mini wildcard going into the next game week, and kind of doing what I would normally do with a wild card anyway, which is kind of lead up to the international break with some transfers up my sleeve.
But the problem for you though, Jace, is the fact that you've lost that. Well, Eze's probably going to be going down in price tonight. You're going to be losing 0.2 in value already, and potentially with Isaac going down as well. Not tonight.
I don't want to be forced into doing changes just because of a 0.1 price drop, to be honest.
That's true, but it's going to stop.
It's going to impact. Yeah, it's going to basically turn my team into 99.5 million budget, essentially, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've looked at options and I can kind of see where I'm going with them, and I can kind of make it work. So I'm not too worried at the moment. But obviously, the more players drop, the worse it gets. So. Hoping I don't lose too much value between now and next week, but like I said, I've missed out on a couple of price drops. Or I've already had a couple of price drops already, so the worst is probably over for me now, and I'll wait and see what happens next week.
You're aware that this is the last game week. The international break is next. So you are aware that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 weeks after Sunday.
Yeah.
Cool. Because your team, like I said, with Henderson in goal, he's going to be gone because Kepa's going to be replacing him. You've got Vardiol, Trent, perfectly fine. Hall is a potential problem, like we just mentioned. Barco, Johnson. Johnson you can get away with. Then Eze, Gibbs White, Jota, Fernandez, Rodgers. You're in the driving seat with Rodgers at least. And then Havertz, great pick, Isaac, and then Haaland. So have you got any ideas at all what you're going to be potentially doing regarding players in?
Yes, but I'm not gonna let you know
Why?
what I'm planning.
What do I care? I'll happily tell you what I've done.
Because I kind of wanna just keep it to myself and not tell anyone else.
Is that just a clue into saying that you don't know what you're doing yet?
You can read what you want to read into that. You know, I'm not gonna say either way, to be honest with you.
No, because I think that this potential week, you've got Man United at home to Liverpool. Fernandez normally turns up in the big games. Eze away at Chelsea. Crystal Palace don't really like playing Chelsea, but whatever. Havertz at home to Brighton. I expect Havertz to do very well versus Brighton or Arsenal in general. The likes of Vardy away at West Ham. Decent fixture. Gibbs White's the interesting one. Whether you're aware or not, I keep forgetting this, but just want to say here right now, thank you, Alex Vollo, for the work that you do for us. And it doesn't go unnoticed. But Alex Vollo, Jake, is going to be captaining Gibbs White against Wolves. Well,
I mean, I admire his tenacity and bravery in doing so. But whilst it's very interesting looking at my below average team, I think we've now got Nick with us. I hear noises from his background. And I just really want to kind of welcome him to the show properly and actually give him a warm welcome onto the show, and hopefully he can hear me and he can reply. Nick,
right.
Thank you for bearing with, and certainly I know it's been very frustrating for you, but welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Hopefully it'll be smoother from here on in.
It's beautiful. I can hear your voice perfectly. No echo.
Oh, lovely.
Even the bass is coming through now.
Good.
I'm going to watch Black Box now. See you later.
So Nick,
hold on a minute. No, forget Nick. Forget him. I know he's the guest, but this is Elite FPL now. This is no professional setup here. We've got a question for you, James. I thought you were going to be playing this game casually this year. Rad is saying, and I agree.
I am. That's why I'm just leaving my team for another week, because I think the more serious I take the game, the more I make decisions and lose patience with players and get them gone. Cutthroat approach. I mean, look at all my previous seasons, Steve-O. You can attest to it. I'm not shy of taking -4s, -8s, -16s in the first few weeks, just to kind of go jump on players that are rising in price, jump on players that are getting into what I would call early season form, and getting out players that I've made a mistake on. And you can say, and I will admit, Bruno Fernandes at the moment is a mistake. He is a mistake. He's been subbed off for the first time under Erik ten Hag. Man United are looking pretty lackluster. My hopes and dreams of them actually bouncing back this season are starting to fade, because we still don't have much of an identity as a team. We are relying on moments that we've relied on for years and years and years. And the likes of Rashford on the left just isn't working. Garnacho needs to play more minutes. I think Bruno is wasted. We've not even got... We've done some good deals, but we've not got someone that is ruthless up front, that's going to get given one chance or two chances in the game and put one away. You know, there's no one in United, there's no one up front for United right now that I would say, if he has a chance, he's going to score at least one, every one or two chances he'll score. Like someone that's like a HAALAND, you know, doesn't touch the ball for large parts of the game, but when he does, he makes that impact. And I just don't see it at the moment for United. And I think Bruno needs someone in front of him that can be the clinical finisher. But again, there's a lot of issues there. I mean, Bruno Fernandes stands out to me as one that I probably is a bit of a gamble. Money on him could have gone, I mean, elsewhere. Like Son, you've had Son, for example. Son's done very, very well. If I could have stretched out to him, maybe, if some buts and maybes. But obviously, Eze for me has been a bit disappointing. But I can see the light at the end. I can see the potential there. So I'm not gonna do what I've done in previous seasons. Going back on what you're saying about, you said you're going to play the game casually. I think I am, because I'm not jumping to decisions. I'm not bringing in rash transfers after 2 game weeks when my players have not had a chance to really show what they can be worth in my team. Obviously, I'm down points, and I know I'm behind yourself, Steve. I think 18 points behind, but I can make that up in a game week or two. So I'm not too worried. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to talk about my team. It's pretty average. There's a lot of template players in this team. There's nothing really that stands out that is like, apart from my bench, of course, which I need to sort out, Barco, and obviously you mentioned Hall as well. But I've got Rodgers, I've got Johnson, and I can do the transfer from Barco to someone else.
It's also Henderson as well. He won't be playing for Crystal Palace.
Why?
Because Kepa's signed for him. Kepa ain't come there to be second choice. He's going to be there as a first teamer, unless someone's going to tell me in the chat.
Kepa's gone to Bournemouth.
Say that again, Nick.
Kepa's gone to Bournemouth.
It was Bournemouth he's gone to.
Clip that.
No one clips
Whoa,
this show.
look at this sports guru. Did your binder say that? Did it, Steve? Put that on the quiz.
Call yourself,
No one
call
bothers
yourself an FPL expert.
I've got a question for you, Steve-O. What team did Kepa sign for in 2024?
Yeah, no one bothers clipping anything on this show, so I'm safe.
It's fine. Animations, I believe in you, mate.
This is actually an attack on somebody. They'll happily retweet the big FPL accounts, but when it comes to this channel, nothing. Yeah, they follow us.
Kepa to Crystal Palace, confirmed.
Anyway, we've got. Should we now properly introduce our guest, Jace?
Yeah, who is he?
Some bloke.
Some bloke we met on the internet.
Either Starsky or not, I can never remember.
Not another one.
No, in all seriousness, Nick, it's genuinely is a pleasure having you on. I know we've had like some severe tech issues tonight and whatnot, but it's great having you on. And you've just heard Jason there talking about his team, and obviously you've interviewed a lot, or you've had a lot of guests on your show regarding going into this FPL season. Obviously, at the start of this FPL season, we're up to game week 2, and Jason's basically saying essentially, look, I've been unlucky, but I think that there's going to be some hauls coming along. Well, what do you think about that from this fast-paced season so far?
I think the key thing, I was chatting to James from Planet FPL yesterday, and I was moaning about the price changes, how quickly they seem to have reacted this season. And he seems pretty convinced that it's like this every year and we just forget, and it's like, it's just how it is, and don't stress too much about it. But it does feel like the price changes, well, especially the falls, are happening so quickly.
Yeah.
Players that are going to be good all season, like Isak, like Watkins, are already sailing close to the wind with drops when their fixtures are about to go off the charts. But I think it's almost, with the way that it is now, with these additional transfers that you can bank, a wild card, and you have to use it before Christmas, and there's so many like international breaks and stuff, I do think it's better to just accept what mistakes you might have made pre-season and quickly deal with them now. You're seeing a lot of people wildcarding this week, potentially next week as well, like once we're out of international break. And I don't hate it, because we know so much more than we did pre-season. So I do think, why wait for more confirmation bias? Potentially we know now that you can see pretty, like Nkunku was a big hype before the season started, wasn't he? Obviously Barco, players like that. Goalkeeper, I've got Henderson. Clearly, obviously, like Kepa's not going to replace him, but he's still not doing well. Crystal Crystal Palace are about to lose Gahey as well. They've already lost Anderson. They might be not as solid as they were last season. So we've got additional information that we didn't have, only a few weeks ago. Use it, act on it, and potentially you when it comes to later in the game, you are going to be able to have a lot more cash in the bank to be able to spend on players because you've got on those price rises early, because it will settle down and it won't fluctuate as much. But some of the stuff, like with the Man United players, there wasn't really evidence to go with them. Jace, do you know what I mean? Like, no, I don't want to dig out Man United, but I said from the start of the season, I was like, I'm just not going anywhere near them.
It's a gamble. 100% agree with you.
Because a lot of people were saying, in fairness to you, a lot of people were saying Rashford could make an absolute mockery of that price. And now he's dropped already.
There's a reason why he's that price. I mean, he's off the boil. He's not just off the boil. His head's not in it. You can tell his head's not in it. He's all over the shop mentally, isn't he? And, I think online trolls have definitely got to him. I'm not saying that's the reason for his form. I think there's a mixture of a lot of things. Things on and off the pitch that are obviously affecting his game. And it's sad to see, really, because on the top of his game, he's you can't unplayable. You can't play against someone like that. He's so direct in the box and can haul you a lot of points. But unfortunately, you're completely right. There's no data backing him up. There's no data backing much Man United up, to be honest. I mean, if anything, the best shout really for United at the moment is a defender, and arguably Onana for save points. Other than that, there's nothing really that I could say to someone. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think Garnacho's got the ability to come through this season and really cement himself in the team and give people an option at a budget price that's going to be pretty tasty, hopefully, all being well and good. But other than that, I really can't give any sort of advice to anyone to get a United player. And to be honest, I think looking back at it, I think if I wasn't a United fan, I definitely wouldn't have had Bruno Fernandes in my team. I'll be honest with you.
How many have you got?
Just Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, just him. Okay, so it's not.
Yeah. I thought I was hedging my bets and not get too many in, but just
Do you think that plays on your mind?
Sorry, say again.
Do you think that plays on your mind, being a United fan?
Of course it does, man. Of course it does. I think if it's just for me, I want to see United do well. And and I'm sure everyone's had this conversation, and think about, I know certainly you've had this conversation, Steve, and I think anyone that plays FPL, you play FPL with two heads, don't you? You play FPL with your, you want to score as many points as you can each week, but you also watch football as a fan of your club. And, if you can have the privilege of owning players of your club and them scoring well, it's like a double hit of euphoria. Because, how many people can put their hands up and say, when there's been a team playing against your team, your club, but you own a striker or a midfielder on the opposite team, you think, you know what, I don't mind if we win, but it's, say if we win 3-2 or 2-1, I don't mind, whenever would you want the opposite team to score against your team other than if you own FPL assets? That's what FPL does to you. And I think that, having that, some people can, and I take my hat off to anyone that can do it, and you can give me your thoughts in a moment. Obviously, a Burnley fan, it doesn't really it doesn't really count because Burnley ain't got anyone that you'd want to own anyway. But when they were in the Premier League, but if your football team is in the Premier League and you play FPL, if you can separate them completely and not be swayed in any way, shape, or form to own any of those teams, certainly if it's a top half team, top half of the table, I'm talking like Chelsea, obviously Aston Villa's easy. I think that Newcastle, every team in the top half of the table, if you're a supporter of that club, I would imagine the majority of people have got at least one of those players in. just purely out of the fact that they're supporters of the club. But there are people out there that can separate there, and they can take their bias, and they can put that bias in a little box and lock it up and keep it separate from the game of FPL. And I admire people that can do that.
Well,
I really do.
Talking of which, with Nick's team, so Nick Jace, you won't know this, and it is in team screenshots, just to for you to be able to bring it up. But Nick has gone with no HAALAND and no Salah. Nick, do you want to tell the audience that doesn't know why you went with this strategy?
Purely because I think there are so many other routes to points without these two. I don't think the thing is, and obviously Ash will talk forever now about his triple captaincy on Haaland this week gone by. However, I captain Son, and essentially, obviously the triple captain taken out of it, but just as far as whether you captain Son or captain Haaland, 2 points difference, and I've saved $500,000. And this was probably Haaland's best game of the season, right? Then you've got Salah, who's again done very well, but you know, look at the way Jota started. Look at Luis Diaz on Sunday as well. There are other ways of doing it. And then instead of having a Morgan Rogers, that means you can then afford a Saka. Do you know what I mean? That 5 million can be massive. So I do think, yes, there's a lot of, like my midfield at the minute, well, I've got 3 up front, Havertz, Isak and Watkins, all 3 of which, well, Havertz started all right, obviously, in the first game. Isak and Watkins have been quiet, but the fixtures are about to turn for Villa. And then you can have solid, you're not playing any £4 million defenders. You're not having any kind of real budget picks in midfield, albeit I have got Smith Rowe, but just so I can afford Son, Saka and Jota as well. And there's plenty of manoeuvrability. And then, like I say, I don't understand the price rises on Haaland, because what were you expecting? When people waited to see him score a goal and started bringing him in, what did you think he was going to do? Of course, we know he's going to score. We know he's going to be the top scoring player in the entire game, but we make a conscious decision to go without. So I think now, unless he scores an average of 2 every single game, I still think you can cover him, because it's not the weeks where he does well. The weeks where he does well, and I'm looking at the ones now, all right, triple captain, you can't touch them. They're all on 100 plus points this week, most of them. But I got 75 points this week. Most Haaland captainers in my mini leagues I'm seeing are on like 80, you know, because they didn't get the points from Saka, from Son, from Smith Rowe. Like, obviously it depends who you pick. Yeah, you can get Smith Rowe in that team, but I think you've just got loads of ways to score points. And I don't think it was the big win that Haaland owners will try and convince you that it was this weekend.
Who though?
Interesting.
Who though for you each week, for argument's sake, let's just say you had to stick with this team. I know you don't, but for argument's sake, you have to stick with this team. You're playing your 3-5-2 with Jota, Saka, Son.
Yeah, but he'd be bringing in Watkins in. He won't be playing 3-5-2.
Yeah. That's why I said a 3-4-3. So it'd be Jota, Saka, Son, and then one of Bernardo Silva and Smith Rowe, and then Havertz, Isaac, and Watkins. Have you thought about each week who you captain?
Yeah, like so far, obviously it's only 2 weeks in, but first week I captained Saka for a 24-pointer because at home to Wolves, opening day of the season. And then this week, as I say, Son at home to Everton. The fixtures are there. They pick themselves like these first couple of weeks. To be honest, this week, the player I'm not worried about not owning Haaland for West Ham away. I'm more worried about not owning Cole Palmer for Crystal Palace at home. So I'd rather bring in Palmer and captain him. Because the thing is, everyone's thinking about when Haaland hauls. What about when Haaland does get those 1 and 2 pointers, which he did get last year?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
he's happy.
He's not. When he misses,
he's not a machine.
Yeah, when he misses and blanks or worse, we will all catch up that ground.
How long do you?
When
think
you say we, you mean the people? Like I would class you as being. I would class you as a rebel.
Terrible FPL manager.
No, I know. I class you as a disassociating rebel.
Yes.
in the sense that you're playing a different tactic to, I would say, 85-90% of the game,
Yeah.
which means that you're completely right that you can bring in better players, all-round players for your FPL team, and you can cover points that superstar players that are premium like Salah and Haaland can get, but you've got maybe two players will make up for a budget player and Salah, for example. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So two decent players in this case Bernardo Silva and Saka can easily, in my opinion, keep up and if not outscore Salah on any given week. Judging certainly on performance. So yeah, I completely and again, going back to what you're saying, when Haaland does get the 1s and 2s in the season, you've got options in your team that you can kind of go, you know what? No one's thinking about this player. I really fancy him. Certainly Palmer against Palace is a mouth-watering prospect. So I can understand why you mentioned that. Yeah, I do think Palmer's going to be. I think Chelsea, very impressive. And the only thing about Chelsea is rotation, isn't it? They've got so many players. Do you know?
Not for Palmer.
Well, not for Palmer, no. But
he's the only one, I would say. Yeah.
Who was the one that was scored the 3 goals? Was it Madueke?
Madueke, yeah,
Madueke. He again. I would imagine. I don't know about the price rises. Casual over here. I don't know if he's gone up in value or whatever, but I would imagine that a lot of people would have jumped on him, even though he's not guaranteed.
6.5, back to 6.5.
Yeah,
so
he went down. This is how reactionary it is. He went down in game week 1 because he didn't start or didn't play at all. He didn't even get on. So he dropped to 6.4, scores a hat trick, goes back up to 6.5.
You know
what?
It's so silly. Like it really is like a wild goose chase, isn't it? At the moment with these price rises, everyone's just like running around like headless chickens, flocking onto what I would class as being there's no data. Going back to what you're saying about data, there's no data to say that this player in Madueke is going to start games every week, get decent minutes every week. You're basically going off one game. And yeah, if that's the way you want to play the game, best of luck to you.
Well, it's interesting because I've got, like Bernardo Silva, you spoke about earlier, that is the kind of the weak link in my team, I would say, at the minute. That's the one player I'm not confident on. And I do, that was an error transfer in last week because I just wanted City coverage against Ipswich.
So unfortunate.
So I
did have Jared Bowen.
Oh, okay. So you used your transfer last week. So you've got none or one this week.
I've got one free transfer which I haven't used.
I'm assuming you're not going to be using it this week because you
I might
said
wildcard.
Yeah, this is the thing, Jace, is that Nick is seriously thinking of wildcarding. Now, why are you thinking of wildcarding considering this team?
That team is
very good.
Very. I mean, the only reason you would wildcard, Nick, is to go back to the Haaland and Salah argument, right? There's no need to wildcard. I mean, you don't unless you want the price points of premiums in your team. There's no need to wildcard. There really isn't. That team, like you said, is full of above average players. They are above average. I mean, they're all very good players. Okay, Bernardo Silva, yeah, you can improve there, but you've got options at that price point. I mean, what is Bernardo Silva? 7 million?
6.5.
6.5. Okay.
So I think it's just a case of if I'm looking at the team and if I can catch the price rises early and
build value,
take advantage. I might do it more over international break because that's when you get a lot more people playing around with their teams and stuff like that. But I'm looking at like Barco. Obviously, he's out. He's gone. Has to go. My two goalkeepers. Realistically, I think both of them I'll change with a bit of like more knowledge about the situation now. And I could change like Harwood Bellis. I could get the Villa right back. Can't remember his name now, but the one that's going to replace Matty Cash for the next month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll probably change my. So there's probably 5, maybe 6 transfers I would make. And I don't think I'll be, once I've got set up with those, the core players that are doing well, I probably wouldn't change them. But the ones that aren't doing well, there's 6 transfers, 5, maybe 6 transfers there. And I don't think there'll be another week before Christmas where I'll be looking to change 6 players. That's my logic. And also I can save up, if the team is doing well, I can save up potentially more transfers than that. I could get 5 transfers back if I can hold my nerve for that long.
With this team, as you just mentioned, the players that you consider getting rid of, it's only the bench fodder, really. It's not like you're in an emergency situation. It's the same with Jason, really. Like, really, he doesn't really need to do any transfers to his team, only if Jason's worried about the price falls and not being able to get in certain players in future dates. But with your team, I just look at it and go, it doesn't need a wild card. I think you can literally just hold, even in the international break. I mean, who would you be attacking from a transfer point of view? Which teams? Because you've got the Arsenal coverage, you've got Watkins.
Yep.
You can use a free transfer, like you said, to bring in this Aston Villa right back, Nelajekovic, whoever his bloody name is. Bernardo Silva could be turned into, potentially, if you see something from him, this Medawaki. I think you're actually in a very stronger position, a more stronger position than you think. Where are you ranked at the moment, Nick?
1 point, not great. Oh no, 2.4.
So what's your
But
week
then
one?
my week 1 score was 69.
And that's without Haaland and Son. And then week 2,
That was without Salah and Haaland.
and then this week you've come out of it with pretty decent returns, like you say, with Son captaincy. I don't think seriously, unless you have an absolute disaster this particular game week, which I can't really see. You've got Henderson in goal, whatever. Valdiola away at West Ham, again, a lot of people have got him. Ben White at home to Brighton, it's about a 60%, 70% chance of a clean sheet. Poor away at Newcastle, forget it. Jota away at Man United, well, he's in form at the moment. I can see him probably getting something, but a lot of people own Jota. Saka captaincy, how certain are you with that?
Pretty. He looks pretty on it to me. He could have had more last week. Like on Sunday, he had that was a great save. To be fair, from Martinez to
Shame he couldn't stop parties though.
He's still but he's still got an assist. And then to be fair, cross into the box, which wasn't counted as a bit. It was his cross in that caused a little ricochet that then got put away as well. So, he could have. And again, I do think it picks itself because Son's away at Newcastle. I'm not expecting Spurs to do well there. And again, Spurs fixture's difficult. Chelsea's are really good, so that might be Son to Palmer, or it might be Bernardo Silva out and get like Leon Bailey, because obviously Villa's upcoming fixtures are amazing.
How much money have you got in the bank at the moment?
I have absolutely 0.4. So this is the issue.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. 0.4.
0.4, which you might as well have nothing, unless you're buying a player that's gone down in value.
So you couldn't even do Son to Palmer.
No, I'd have to. This is what's making me think I could make some changes.
Because I've done the Son to Palmer move. I've done it. I've just got it out of the way. And I'm really, really happy with it because I'm not particularly that impressed by Spurs, to be honest with you. I thought Son's goals were very, very, well, certainly the second one was very fortuitous. How the hell he got that? But he did it, whatever. He's a world-class player, he was. It's a shame you haven't got that 0.1 to get Palmer in automatically.
Well, this is the thing, and I could just buy a cheap. This is what I'm really hoping. I wish a defender would go down to 3.9. Do you know what I mean? Just because if you're going to have bench fodder, it would be so nice to.
But then you're taking a -4.
No. I was saying, not necessarily this week, but that's what makes me think would maybe just do a wild card. But I can see that. So Scotland investor 777, but you can make 0.1 on a player and lose it when you sell him. It's ridiculous. But my thing is, it's not necessarily about trying to make profit when you sell. It's more about being able to afford the players you want now, because you won't be able to in a couple of weeks' time. Like, you know, we've all had it where I'll do it every single season, and I do get people when I put my team on Twitter or X, I want to call it. People message, "Oh, have you got the value for that?" Like, how you thought, and it is just because early transfers doesn't always mean that it works out, because sometimes you're taking hits that then that person, you might not finish, you know, right at the top, but your team will look good on paper, and you can afford players that others can't. But it's just whether they repay you quick enough to wipe out the -4s.
Yeah, here is saying here, would you take a -4 and bring in Palmer for Son and captain? It depends who you're taking out. If you're taking out Son, for argument's sake, to bring in Palmer and captain him, I wouldn't do it. I don't think people are making out this match against Crystal Palace is going to be some barnstorming game where Chelsea score 3-4 goals. They're in Europe this week. They're going to Switzerland. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute Palmer's going to be starting. In fact, I don't even think he gets a minute, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a battering. Crystal Palace are no mugs. They're not Burnley. They're not Luton. They're Crystal Palace. I mean, you've got big tips saying there's no Elise, and who cares? They don't score against Chelsea. They never do anyway when we get into the predictions. No Anderson, fair enough. No Guay. They got back-to-back losses. I don't think Yahia doing a -4 to captain Palmer, I just don't see the point in it. Bringing him in, if you can do for free, just bring him in. But to captain on a -4, I wouldn't bother. I mean, I know that Matty's saying he's going to be captaining Palmer this week. Palmer at home last season, we all know, did extremely well. Returned in every single game. I personally haven't got the cojones to do it. I think just owning Palmer is enough, Nick, to be honest with you. But what do you think about bringing in Palmer on a -4 and then captaining him?
I think it justifies it. If you're bringing him into captain, I think it's definitely worth a -4. If you're just going to bring him, it's like, it's which side of the fence do you want to sit on? If you do think you just want to bring him in and you think owning him is enough, that's fair. But if you do want to take a -4 to bring him in, I think you've got to captain him, because then that justifies that decision, doesn't it?
Jace, are you concerned about not owning Cole Palmer?
Yes. Yeah. What can I do though? It's quite expensive. What is he?
Guess who does own him? Well, I've told you the answer, but he's 10.5, but he's going to be 10.6 tomorrow. He's going to be 10.6 tomorrow.
Yeah, price rises don't wait around, do they?
No, they don't. And it's funny you mentioned when James on Planet FPL said about it's the same every single year. When he said that, I immediately said, when I was listening to the stream today, I was like, no, it hasn't been this volatile. I don't
think it has. But then memory's short. But
the price downs haven't been like this. The price rises, give or take, have been exactly the same. But the price falls, it's been a lot more volatile, I think, personally. And there's a lot of people right now. I think more people are wildcarding in Game Week 2 into Game Week 3 more than ever. I can't remember a time when I'm seeing so many people in the Elite FPL community with FPL Juice, in the X community, that are hitting that wildcard button. Because, as we just said with Jason's team, Jason, in theory, could hit the wild card, bring in the likes of Palmer, maybe Saka, an Arsenal defender. But Jason's team doesn't need a wild card. It's got a couple of potential fires that are starting to brew. But when I look at Jason's team, I just go, maybe Fernandez, but I wouldn't be desperate to move him on yet, especially with Man United at home to Liverpool, who you've got a very good record against, Jace, at Old Trafford, a very good record. It's really just your bench fodder. That's it.
Yeah. and I don't know if I want to be doing changes just yet regarding that. But like I said, two going into next game with three transfers on the table is going to be quite good, quite interesting, with another week of data to kind of digest.
The thing he's saying is, Steve Seddon saying, why is the strategy for early wildcard change? I'm assuming you mean in the sense of why is people playing it so early now? I think people are in panic mode, to be honest with you, Steve. I think people have decided they've seen enough, and there are certain players that they want to bring in that they feel that other players that they've made a mistake with, the likes of the fact that Eze's not really done anything, Watkins has done nothing, Isaac's done nothing. People are panicking really badly, and they're just going, right, let's hit the wild card now. Do you have any opinion on that, Nick, why people are wildcarding so early?
I do think it's less valuable now that you can save up 5 transfers. I think that's the first thing, but I do think I always tend to do my wildcard in the first 5 game weeks of every season, just because you find out so much in the first few weeks. Who's start, because we all get that pre-season information and we all get excited about these players, and then it starts the first game of the season. Guess what? It's back to exactly what it was. Or forget all the rising stars that you thought were going to shoot to the front of the frame at this season. It's just back to how it was end of last year. So I think it's just
good point.
Go off that data, and like everyone's talking about all these potential players. Everyone's pre-season was on Minty from Brighton. Looks really, really good, to be fair. Looks exciting, but when you look down the list of what players at that price point are returning, it's the same ones you would expect, with the possible exception of Smith Rowe, who's obviously now playing, but you would expect him to do well if he was starting at Arsenal as well. So the players that are doing well now, when you look at like the top scoring players, they're the ones who pretty much did well last year. Do you know what I mean? There's no real surprises in there, I would say, apart from Welbeck, possibly.
It's been 2 game weeks so far, Jace. Are you enjoying FPL so far, Jace, or is it just you feeling like, oh, it's just back to what we were last year?
It's a hard question. I think I'm not really thinking about it as much as I did last season. I'm not really thinking about it. I'm not going to overcomplicate things. I'm just going to chat about it when I need to chat about it, but I'm not going to start giving myself dilemmas and writing down notes and looking on heat maps or XG or XA, whatever. I'm not interested in it. I'm just going to go with my gut and just going to make a decision literally as soon as the deadline is done. That's it. I will. Sorry, as soon as the new game week starts, I'll make a move, make a transfer if I need to, and I'll leave it for the rest of the week unless something really needs to be looked at in my team, and I will just leave it. That's the way I'm going to play the game this year. I'm not going to be stressing out about anything. I'll be disappointed. I'm not going to be stressing out about the game.
What about you, Nick? How have you found the first couple of game weeks and moving into game week 3?
I'm all right with it. Like the HAALAND triple captaincy has set me back. Like probably those 17 points or whatever make a big difference this time of the season. That's probably 1 million plus places different, isn't it? If not more. But the thing that I'm not enjoying about it is these price changes, because it is. Would I be thinking about a wild card if the price changes weren't going so crazy? Probably not. But it's that herd mentality. I think it's like, do you remember in lockdown, like the panic buying of toilet rolls? It's like that. It is exactly like that, because everyone was sanely thinking, no, I'm not going to do that. But then you go to the shop and you see everyone else doing it. You're like, well, I don't want to get left behind. And that's exactly what we're seeing with these players. People are looking at it saying, well, Watkins is got a great run of fixtures coming up. Yes, he's blanked in the first 2 games, but he easily could have had at least 2 against Arsenal. And he's about to drop in price. So if you own him, and to be fair, I've seen people on Wildcard who are going to sell him and then buy him back when he drops in at 8.9. Do you know what I mean? Just as a tactic, and Isak could well do the same, especially if people are saying he might be injured now. So there's loads of people playing that game as well. So I do think it's panic buying.
Do you think as well potentially that it's a generational thing of this culture we live in, where it's this instant, I want this immediately, rather than just waiting? Do you think that's having a bit of an impact on people's thought processes as well?
There is an immediacy with the younger generation, but everyone I see playing FPL is 40-year-old losers like me, so maybe that's not the case.
Well, I can tell you Isaac's fine. He's played the full match so far for Newcastle. It's 0-0. It's 1-1. Anthony Gordon has come on. From an FPL point of view, the only player that's come on is Anthony Gordon for Newcastle. The rest, from an FPL point of view, we've got Isaac still on the pitch. Lewis Hall's received a yellow card. Again, do you look at the cup games, Nick, and think, oh, great, that player's playing, which means that he's probably not going to play in the cup game, i.e. like Lewis Hall?
I do that more with the big teams with loads of squad depth. Then I think you have to factor it in. But we've seen loads of times. So there's certain players that can just do it week in, week out, and it's not a problem. But when someone's been subbed off, like Lewis Hall at the weekend and been replaced, you do kind of have to consider it a little bit more. But just in terms of like, such and such player is playing. If it's just like a normal, say Villa have got a game in Europe and Ollie Watkins starts up front, I'm not worrying, thinking, there's no way he's going to play this weekend. But I think when you've got a team like Chelsea, who've got 88 players, and you see maybe Mudryk starts or Nkunku starts, you've got to think, they're probably going to be rested. But you know that in Europe, your HAALAND, your Salahs, players like that, they're still going to play. There's no danger of them getting rested.
Yeah, we've got some results here from the Cup. So Wolves beat us 2-0. Ipswich are at penalties at the moment with Wimbledon. They were drawing 2-2. Southampton winning 5-3 away at Cardiff. Any goal scorers of note? No, is the simple answer. We then have Brentford beating... They are away at Colchester 1-0. And then the one of two Premier League ties, the other one being Nottingham Forest Newcastle, but West Ham versus Bournemouth. West Ham are winning 1-0 thanks to a goal from Jared Bowen, surprise, and kudos with the assist there. The lineup for West Ham was pretty much a second string team, give or take. The odd player here or there that would start for them normally. But majority is, I say that actually, there's quite a few there that would actually start for them. But certainly with Bournemouth, a lot of the players, they would not be starting, I don't think, for Bournemouth regularly. But yeah, I do agree with Nick that depending on which team it is, i.e. like Chelsea, you know that in Europe they're going to play a very, very second string team. It's a bit like with, for instance, with Tottenham. They'll be playing a very second string team in Europe and whatnot. But no, are you actually looking forward to the upcoming game week if you don't wildcard, Nick, with the excitement of a differential captaincy in Saka?
Yeah, I think so. It's like, if you've got the same team as everyone else, you just plod through the season. I think it is fun to play it your own way. Obviously, you want still good scoring players, but it is nice to go slightly differential, I think, and it does make it far more exciting. But yeah, I think like this stage of the season, if you've already lost the excitement for it, it's probably not the game for you. Do you know what I mean? 2 game weeks in.
Joe Beddoes has come up with an interesting one now, and Triggerlips was the one that kind of got me thinking about this regarding the Chelsea players, maybe doubling up, Nick, with Palmer and Madueke.
I just think it's too risky.
Really?
I just think Palmer's locked. I think Palmer's the only player that you could guarantee. I think listen, if anyone with any common sense knows if a player scores a hat-trick, you've got to do something pretty wrong to not start the next game. But this is Chelsea. That you just don't know what's going to happen. They could have another 3 players by the weekend. You know, you could have Osimhen, you could have Tony. They could sign like late move for Jadon Sancho or something. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? And if he was that sure of Madueke, why would they even entertain the idea of talking about Jadon Sancho?
Well, you mentioned Tony there. I'll tell you what, Nick. If he signs for Chelsea, I will be monitoring him. And the second he scores a goal, I'm bringing him in. And I'm going to be virtually bringing him in immediately. Chelsea's fixtures, I think personally Chelsea are fixture-proof because of the quality of player that they've got. But their immediate fixtures after the international break, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Liverpool, Newcastle. It's a very, very tasty fixture list. I think that Tony will fit in like the perfect leather glove that you would own for your Rolls Royce, Nick. And I think that
OJ.
I think Tony could be the striker that could potentially replace HAALAND. So then we're able to upgrade other areas within our team. Just to kind of be able to do what you're doing, like you say, by upgrading these 5 million players, 6.5, to these premium ones like Saka, Palmer, etc. Because I think if Tony goes to Chelsea, with the creativity of a lot of the players there, I'd expect him to score an absolute shed load of goals. Obviously not to the level of HAALAND, but certainly I would think that he's got a very good chance of doing very well for them.
Yeah, completely agree. And the nice thing about him is he's already had 2 price drops already, so you'd be getting him in. You'd be getting him in at 7.3. And I think he like Nicholas Jackson. You know, the manager's come out today and said the right things about him. He's saying, listen, I haven't spoken to him about bringing in another player, but we've spoken to him, Nick Jackson, and we said you're doing a lot of things right at the minute and you're doing really well. But ultimately, he is not. Chelsea want to be one of the best teams in not just the Premier League. They want to be one of the best teams in Europe, right? They're spending a lot of money. Nicholas Jackson is not a big team striker. Ivan Toney arguably isn't either quite. I don't know. Like, he's underrated, I think, for what he can do. But he's not a marquee signing. I think Osimhen would be far more likely, like sort of Chelsea signing. But if they can't get that over the line, I do think they'll end up with Toney. And 100%. If you think about like as I said, I've not got Salah, but suddenly if I did have the likes of people who've got Haaland could jump on a Toney, and then you go up from a mid-priced midfielder straight up to Salah, then I think you're pretty well covered. If you're someone that doesn't have, Salah already.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one come through. It's obviously in a couple of days' time, the close of the transfer window. We're very interested to see that. Big tip saying here that Tony's going to be another Solanke. FPL Towers will probably lock his price. Yeah, probably. Shagair saying that Cardiff game's mad. There was absolutely some screamers. I just want to quickly say there's a lot of people watching at the moment. Really do appreciate it. If you are brand new around here, make sure you are hitting the subscribe button. If you are enjoying the stream, make sure you are hitting the like button. Jay, shall we quickly just look at my team for a second?
Sure.
I'll put it in the Discord team screenshots, my actual team that's going to be playing for game week 3. Of course, I haven't got the internet on. Typical. But I've done my moves. It was Rodgers, Infert and Kunku.
Have you not posted it in?
I'm going to be doing it literally right now once I can get onto the menu thing here, which is... There we are.
Any moment now.
There we are. Done. So I did the moves. I did the Palmer move today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday because I was worried about potentially Palmer going up in price yesterday evening, but now I've done it because he's going to be going up in price tonight. So for people listening on audio, it is Martinez in goal, Vardio, Porro, Robinson. I did that switch about half an hour ago. I just think that Fulham, the way they played against Man United...
Half an hour ago? What, during the stream?
You know what I mean, before we came on air.
Yeah.
I think that Ipswich are going to struggle against Fulham, and I expect Fulham to do what they did against Man United, pretty much control the game, and Robinson is on fire at the moment. We've got Diego Jota, Gordon, Palmer, Rogers, who are my 2 transfers in. It's a toss-up between Muniz and Smith-Rowe, but I like the way Muniz was performing against Leicester the other day. He had he's apparently had the most. What was it, Nick? It was said last night. He's had the most chances or something. 33 shots on goal or something.
Attempts on
like
goal.
That. Yeah, without converting, which not a great thing. But he's up against Ipswich.
Good or bad, depending on what you look at.
He's up against Ipswich. I think he may start converting against them on Saturday.
Sounds like a Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, he's precisely. And then you've got Haaland captain and Isaac. I'm expecting Newcastle hopefully to just about get past Tottenham. The history suggests that it is going to be in favour of the home team, and usually in a high-scoring game. So
There's got to be Palmer in it.
Chelsea Crystal Palace are normally low-scoring, Jace.
Oh, no. You brought Palmer in for a reason, mate.
Yeah, to own him. Just to own him. So I think that the HAALAND captaincy at the moment, there's a lot of talk on your show last night, Nick, about, especially from Sim, saying how he feels that the system fits perfectly to Haaland's abilities. And I don't think Man City have any problem with West Ham. In fact, their history against West Ham is very, very good. So I'm just sticking with safety with Haaland.
Could be another week to own KDB, couldn't it? If only it was easier to get into teams.
Have you thought about bringing him in, though, Jace?
No way of bringing him in, mate.
Yeah.
He's gone up as well.
Can't extend to that price point, unfortunately.
You would own him, would you? If you could.
I mean, it's arguably he is the best creative midfielder in the Premier League. So yeah, of course I would. I mean, why wouldn't you? Is it purely the price that puts people off? Yes, because they can't afford to have another premium in their team over Salah or Haaland. So yeah, I think if KDB was, 9.5 mil, I think he'd be in a lot of teams. I don't know.
There's a lot of people here saying that they're going to be captaining Palmer this week. If you owned Palmer, would you be considering captaining? Jace?
Who? Me?
Yeah, you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Palmer is a top candidate this week for captaincy at home to Crystal Palace. I think the fact that you brought him in, to cover those points says it all. Really, I mean, I think.
Well, I'm also bringing him in because he's a quality player.
Well, yeah, but I think it all depends on, again, people like Nick, who says that if you want to play the game aggressively, it's early on, especially early on in the season, where the flock are sticking with the popular pick, i.e. Haaland. Do you want to take advantage of that and start thinking, you know what, Palmer looks good against? I think I'm going to captain him and get the just desserts when it comes through. And obviously, it's a mega bonus if Haaland blanks, which, let's be honest, it's not unknown for him to do that. So especially early, I think there'll be hiccups for Haaland. I do think there'll be hiccups. He's not going to score every game, and the fortune favours the brave, so they say.
They do indeed. Well, talking of fortune favouring the brave, shall we crack on with the score predictions this week, Jace?
Well, yeah, but I was hoping to get up to bed at 10 o'clock, so...
We can rush through it really, really quickly.
Yeah, let's go. I'm absolutely knackered. I'm struggling to keep my eyes open.
That's the spirit.
Yeah. I really have. Right.
Those
your
FCAs
predictions.
don't lie.
Oh, dearie me.
Yeah, let's just crack on with it. So we kick off
Go on then.
this
Go on then.
afternoon,
You
on
deal the spiel.
Saturday afternoon, with Arsenal at home to Brighton. The history is ironically, it's in Brighton's favour. Brighton like playing Arsenal away. They've beaten them 3 times, 2-1, 3-1, 3-0. And there's a lot of clean sheets there as well. 3-0, 2-0, 3-0. Essentially, the home team has only won once in the last 6, and coincidentally that was last year, December, on the 17th, where Arsenal won 2-0. I think they're going to win this pretty comfortably, to be honest with you. I'm going with 3-0, Nick.
I would agree. I think that it's a different Arsenal team. So obviously last season, as you say, they won. I think back 3, 4, 5 years, Arsenal, the sort of games that Arsenal would lose would be these ones. But I think now they've completely firmed up defensively. Again, I think that Villa away fixture, was a very, very tough fixture. I think the confidence coming off the back of that win last weekend, I think they'll take that forward. They're not going to allow the slip-ups that have cost them the league, I think. So yeah, they'll be on it. I think it's 2 or 3-0. I think you're right.
Moving on to Southampton, Brentford. Well, I just thought you were in a hurry, Jason.
Yeah. Okay.
With the fact that Southampton, newly promoted team, performed very well against Newcastle, against 10 men. They lost 1-0. They then played last week against a team against Nottingham Forest, performed absolutely abysmally. They lost 1-0. They're up against a Brentford team who they hate playing against. There's a lot of clean sheets in this. 2-0 Brentford, 3-0 Brentford, 3-0 Brentford, 2-0 Brentford. I'm expecting Brentford to kick on their season, and I think they're going to be winning. I'm going to go 2-0, Nick.
I do think, Jason's gone, by the way. He's gone to bed, hasn't he? Yeah.
He hasn't gone. I can assure you, he's just listening in.
I think Brentford. I think they'll probably concede because I don't think they've looked great at all at the back so far. Just from the eye test, I'm not talking about stats and stuff. I'm just saying when I've seen them. However, I think Vissa, if you own Vissa or Mbumo, I'll be looking forward to this game. I think they're going to get a couple. I think 2-1. I would go.
Yeah, 2-1, something like that. But we're both expecting Brentford to win. Up next is Everton, who are in absolute dire straits at the moment. They're up against a Bournemouth team who, they were in a terrible game against Newcastle last week. I wasn't particularly impressed by them. However, I have this feeling that Everton are going to get a win here. I think they're going to nick it, quite literally nick it. I think it's going to be this dire 1-0 victory. Everton last 2 home matches against Bournemouth have 1-0, 1-0 and 3-0. Essentially, it's the home team that win in this fixture. Although what I will say is that Bournemouth have won 4 out of the last 6. Winning away 3-1 and then a 4-1 win, a 3-0 win, a 2-1 win. I think these two, if I was going to when I put my prediction on Super Brew, I'm probably going to go with 1-1, maybe even 0-0. But if there is going to be a winner in this, Nick, I'm going to go with Everton. But officially, I'm going to go with 0-0. Actually, to hell with it, 0-0, Nick.
I do see it being a draw. I think Everton are going to be under a lot of pressure after their fans were so supportive, weren't they, at the train station the other day? So I think that they're going to want to win it for them. But I do think that Bournemouth, their first 2 games have been 1-1. I think this will be another 1-1.
Another 1-1. Seem to be copying my results so far, Nick.
Well, I know you've got good form for this. I'm trying to skirt around the subject, make it seem like these opinions are my own, but actually I'm just copying what you say and phrasing it differently.
Well, I'll let you give us your score prediction for the next fixture, because it is Ipswich at home to Fulham. It's their second home match. This should be a fixture in which they should be targeting to win. Well, the good news for you, Colm, is that Fulham love to play Ipswich. In fact, they've won 6 out of 6. In fact, 4 out of the last 6 they've won away from home. And there's a lot of clean sheets in there, 2-0, 2-0, 1-0. So, yeah, Nick, what are you thinking on this particular fixture?
I see this being a draw, or maybe Fulham nicking it. And I think there's going to be plenty of goals in this game. I think they're both going to go for it. I would go 3-2 to Fulham. I think it's going to be a good game to watch.
Well, funny enough, the last time these played each other, which was in the EFL Cup on the 1st of November 2023, Fulham won 3-1. So you may be onto something there. I think that if Fulham going with the same attitude that they did at Old Trafford, I think they're going to contain Ipswich pretty well. I think I'm going to go with what the histories kind of say. I'm going to go with 2-0, Nick, to Fulham. Yeah. We then move on to Leicester at home to Aston Villa, Nick. Just give you a bit of history. Aston Villa, it's pretty much a 50-50 split. Aston Villa have won 3 times, Leicester have won twice with a 0-0 draw in there. The away teams seem to do all right. We've got a 1-0 to Aston Villa, a 2-1 to Leicester. Like I said, a 0-0, a 4-2 to Leicester, a 2-1, all away victories. So it's looking like it's going to be in the favour of Aston Villa based on the history. What are you thinking for this one, Nick? And are you confident Ollie Watkins finally gets off the score sheet?
I do think he will, because I think he'll get chances. However, I thought Leicester were really good against Spurs at home, and I think they do. When they're at the King Power, I do think they really do get fired up by the crowd, like that kind of leftover spirit from the Premier League title win. It do seem like that's a bit of a fortress for them. So I do expect them to perform, but I think Villa just have too much. So I would think Villa will probably take this 2-1.
I have no idea what you saw in Leicester against Tottenham, because I thought Leicester were absolutely pants against Tottenham. Personally, I really did not think they put any form of stamp on the ground to say we're back in the Premier League. I thought they weren't particularly that good. I thought the Vardy goal, brilliant, well done, but truth be told, they
were down to 10 men, weren't they, as well?
Yeah, they should have been at least 2-0 down in the first half. Nottingham Forest up against Wolves next. The Wolves team that have just beaten I couldn't even tell you what that Burnley team was, but they've just beaten Burnley 2-0. Oh, and good news, there's a lot of 1-1s in this fixture. In fact, 3-1-1. In fact, it's been 4 draws in a row, Nick. 2-2, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, a 1-0 to Wolves and a 4-0 to Wolves. I was thinking 1-1 before this fixture, Nick, and I'm going down that route again. I'm going to go 1-1 to these two.
It's definitely going to be a close match, but I do think, Nottingham Forest have got a lot of nice attacking threat, and I think this is a game like Wolves. Like, their confidence must be shot. They were defending so badly against Chelsea. Obviously, you could argue that you think they're going to bounce back and prove everyone wrong. But I think Forest will win this one by 1 goal. I think it probably 2-1.
Okay. Moving on to the evening kickoff with West Ham at home to Man City. Man City, once again, love playing a team. They haven't lost at all in the last 6. The only time West Ham got anything out of them was a 2-2 draw back on the 15th of May 2022. Other than that, it's just been wins for Man City. In fact, in the last 3, they've scored 3 goals past West Ham. And in fact, the last 2 has ended up being 3-1. I've got this down as 2-0 to Man City, Nick.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because I see that obviously West Ham are playing tonight as well. So whilst it's not their full strength team, you know, Kudus, Bowen, they're kind of main attacking threats are both involved. I do think City will win it. I don't think it'll be as easy as we think. Like we saw, didn't we, on the last day of the season, West Ham gave them a bit of a scare. So, you know, if Kudus can pull off another overhead kick like that one before, you know, there might be a bit of a shock upset. But I think, yeah, Man City are just purring at the minute as a team. So, yeah, I think 3-0. I think they'll brush them aside, sadly.
Moving on to a match which I think may decide the fate of Newcastle players in our team, depending on how Newcastle perform. I've been saying in Patreon podcasts that I think this could be the match which decides for me whether or not Gordon and Isaac are worth having in my team. But the history is suggesting a very, 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 very high-scoring game for the home team. We've got Newcastle 4-0, Tottenham 4-1, Newcastle 6-1, Tottenham 5-1. I think based on what I've seen from Newcastle so far, I think this is going to be quite a boring game. In fact, Nick, I'm going to let you take it away first.
I disagree. I think this game will have goals in it. I think it will be quite end to end. I was chatting. James, Planet FPL, is obviously a big Spurs fan. He seems convinced that Newcastle are going to do them, and he knows his stuff. So I think it'll probably be. I reckon I'll go 2-1 Newcastle. I think Spurs will get a goal, but I think something's got to click for Newcastle at some point. And I think as well, if they can just go with Gordon, Barnes, and Isak up top from the off, rather than trying to play around with different formats, trying to squeeze things in, just play them all in those positions. Let Gordon can do a job on the right, and Barnes loves cutting and shooting. So, yeah, I think if they just go with that tried and tested formation, then I think they can click back into winning ways quite quickly.
Yeah, I just have not seen anything from Newcastle where I think fire. They were, again, against Southampton, they were extremely lucky to get a 1-0 win. The first 20 minutes or so, Southampton were apparently all over them. And then they had the red card, and you're thinking, oh, a minute, there could be an upset, and it just ends up being Newcastle winning 1-0. Then we've got the game that they had against Bournemouth last week, where they were extremely lucky to score a goal against Bournemouth. Newcastle did nothing for me in that game. In fact, I came away from it thinking, what on earth do I own? I know Gordon scored, but what on earth do I own Gordon and Isaac for? They are useless assets to be owning right now. This is the game, like I said, for me to show why we've got them. I'd like to think they're going to expose Tottenham's high line. I do think Newcastle win. I do expect Tottenham to score. And yeah, I think like you, it's going to be like 2-1, something like that. But history doesn't suggest that. It's expected, like I said, a high-scoring game. So maybe Newcastle can exploit Tottenham's high line more than I'm expecting. Then we've got the Chelsea fixture, Nick, where a lot of people are going to be captaining Palmer. What do you think about the captaincy pick, and do you think it's worthy going on him rather than the likes of Haaland or, in your case, Saka?
I think if I owned Palmer this week, I would be captaining him. I do like Saka as a captain. It depends how you want to play the game. There's a lot of people in the FPL community that like to play very, very safe, template, just watch the EO, sit within the little bracket of template up until about game week 36, and then pick two different players to try and get into the top 10k in the last, almost slipstreaming each other with exactly the same team all season. So undoubtedly, HAALAND is the better pick if you want to just remain with the pack. But if you've got a bit of something about you and you want to get your balls out on the line, then I would definitely go Palmer, and that's what I would do. If I own Palmer, 100% I would be captaining this week over anyone else. And I do think that game is going to be like 3-0. to Chelsea.
3-0.
I think.
Well, history is not suggesting a high-scoring game. I'll quickly go through them. I mean, the last time these two met was in February. It ended 3-1 to Chelsea, but prior to that, 2-1, 1-0, 2-1, 2-0, 1-0. I'm kind of expecting the same. I think Crystal Palace scoring this. I expect Eze to finally pop up. But I do expect Chelsea to get through this match. And I'm just going to stick with what the history suggests. I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea. And then we have the big game between Liverpool or Man United at home to Liverpool. You've got a Liverpool team who are just completely in domination mode at the moment. They completely controlled Ipswich. By all accounts, it could have been even more than 2-0 once Liverpool got into gear and Ipswich started slowing down. The game against Brentford, they completely controlled that game. Brentford defended very well, I thought, but they just couldn't handle the pace of Diaz, Jota, Salah, and eventually they just broke through. And I think 2-0 was a fair result for Liverpool. The game against Man United is always very, very difficult for Liverpool. This is a Klopp era, admittedly, where the results have been absolutely all over the place. You've got a 2-2, a 4-3, or more specifically a 3-3 in the FA Cup, but it ended up being 4-3. An anomaly being 0-0. Then we got a 7-0 to Liverpool, the 2-1. I find this game really, really difficult to call. But I do think that Haag always seems to have a plan in the big games. I think this is going to be a lot closer than what people think, and I'm just going to go with I think Man United are going to get something here, Jace, if you're listening in. I'm going to go with I'm going to stick my neck on the line. I'm going to go with a 1-1, Jace. I can't hear him laughing, so I must be saying something right. Nick, what are you thinking on this final game?
Well, I agree with you that Ten Hag does, for the big occasions, does seem to find a way to get results. We saw it in the FA Cup. But I don't know, I just fancy. I do think Liverpool are going to do that. I think it could be 3 or 4-1. I think if Liverpool get an early goal, it could be heavy, heavy defeat. I think United just look lost at the minute. So I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna say 4-1. Let's have a bit of a fun, high scoring game.
Jace, any thoughts on what Nick's just said in a high scoring game for Liverpool winning?
Well, yeah, I think Liverpool probably will win this game. But I'm going to go with one less. I'm going to go 3-1 to Liverpool.
3-1. Wow. I think you can close out the show now, Jace.
Thank you. I'm going to sleep now. I literally have been up since 5 this morning and I'm knackered. So.
Oh, mate.
So I'm going to sleep and then be up again at 5 in the morning. So, yes, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and hit that like button if you've enjoyed what you've seen. Join on our social media. I will try and drink a lot more Red Bull for the next episode, which will be on Saturday. I'm so tired right now. Finish off, Steve.
Yeah, in all seriousness, Jason.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Jason will be joining us. He'll be joining me on Saturday. Jason will be pretty much doing a match of the day challenge, but not during match of the day. And I'll be revealing the results for Jason on that particular day. So join us then as ever for the Saturday night reaction at 8 p.m. Other than that, if you are brand new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you have enjoyed the stream, like Jason, hit the like button. You can follow us on X. And if you prefer having live streams on X, we are now on X doing the live streaming. Other than that, you can join us on Patreon. It's free at the moment. And then when it gets to Game Week 4, that's where it's free. Once it gets to Game Week 4, that's when we're going to be starting doing the charging. If anybody's happy to pay towards the show, 2 tiers, $1.99 and $4.99. The $4.99 will get you into a trophy league and also the additional podcasts that we do here. Other than that, Nick, I just want to say apologies for the tech issues and thanks for sticking through it for the last hour or so.
No, thanks for having me, man. It's always good to chat to you, as you know. So yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. But yeah, I love Elite FPL. So just to reiterate what you said, do support these guys. Like, I love their content. I'm a Patreon member myself. I did get the email saying it's free, where you don't have to pay. But yeah, so just think of the money you've saved. Maybe upgrade that membership from $1.99 to $4.99 with all the big cash monies that you've saved over the last couple of free months you've had. But yeah, these guys put in a load of work. Like Jason said, he's been up since 5 this morning. So buy him a coffee, give him a bit of love, because yeah, they really do deserve it.
There we are. Buy Jace a coffee. Jace, you've got the controls. Let's get out of here, mate.